5 for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Grant Cardone, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Pick the right career.
I picked the wrong careers. I picked the wrong careers like 3 times now. Okay? And they made me money. And then I got trapped in them. Okay? So I made it picking the wrong careers. Me and him talk about a business that I'm in. I'm like, Ed, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just full of illusions. Mm-hmm. Told you that 20 times now. Yeah. Full of illusions. There's nothing there. Okay. And my first business, second business, third business, man, they were all just, there's nothing there. And I pushed so hard in them. I overworked all my spaces. So that's a big mistake. I've underestimated how much energy it takes, and I've also underestimated, because I underestimated what it would take to do it, I overworked the space. I literally overworked all my spaces. I was telling Ryan this today. I constantly overwork because I trust nothing. Mm. I don't trust any effort. Like, I think everything will not work. And so I'm like, okay, add one more, add a second one, add a third one. And the next thing I do is I make a mess. Like, I make constant messes everywhere I go. So, constant. There's messes everywhere I go. Somebody's having to pick up. But hey, next thing you know, we figured it out, right? And now, all that being said, it's also been easier than I've ever imagined. I never thought I would get where I'm at. I underestimated. Like, I am so far beyond anything I ever dreamed of. Like, I heard Barbra Streisand say this, that she had dreamed everything that happened in her career, she dreamed it for. I dreamed none of this. Never in my lifetime.
Me either.
Did I think I'd fly on a private jet, of anybody's private jet.
Rule number 2, fix your multiplier.
What do we got there? Tell us a bit more about the book that you've brought with you.
Oh, the 10X rule, man.
Absolutely.
This is the book that everybody knows about.
Where did that come from? 10X? 10 times?
This was after the collapse. Right. I was working hard. And I kept telling Elena, what am I doing wrong? I think a lot of people have this conversation, like, what am I doing wrong? I'm working hard. I'm take care of my customers. Mm-hmm. I'm fair to everybody, and I can't get ahead. Why can't I get my break? I'm a talented guy. Mm-hmm. I'm working hard. I'm talented. I'm working hard. I'm talented. Like, it was like this. Like, and I cannot get it. I can't punch through. And then I saw a lot of people that were less talented, not taking care of their customers, didn't have as good a product, that were just flying. And so I sat down. Every book I've ever written, except for one, was about me trying to solve a problem for me. And the 10X rule, I didn't know it was going to be the 10X rule when I finished it, until I finished it. It was about, hey, why am I working so hard and not getting ahead? And the premise of this book is my multiplier was broken. I wasn't multiplying, I was adding. I was doing a little bit more. I was never doing a lot more. I was never doing enough more to expand so that I wasn't a slave to my business.
Rule number 3, learn the money game.
I worked at McDonald's, I got fired. I worked at a furniture store, I got fired. I worked in a car dealership, I was fired 6 times from the same guy. I just quit leaving. And I've been fired so many times, I finally figured out how to get fired and keep my job. I mean, really. So
talent.
I'm a sales guy not because I wanted to. That was not something I wanted to do. My dad was a sales guy. My dad told my mom before he died, tell those boys to learn how to sell. He knew he was going to die. And he's like, tell those boys to learn how to sell and they can go anywhere. I didn't know that. My mom didn't tell me that until I was like 25, 26 years old. And I had to take a sales job. She wanted me to be a professional. So I went and got an accounting degree. Got out of college, there was 25% unemployment. I didn't know it. I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't go to college to become a salesman. But it was the only job I could get when I was 25 years old. It was be unemployed or take this job selling Toyotas. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know what a Toyota was. This is years ago. Toyota wasn't even a thing yet. And so I took this job that I thought it was just going to be a temporary job. I said, okay, I'm going to do this until I can get a real job. And that ended up becoming my career. I actually hated sales because all the jobs I had outside of McDonald's were part-time sales jobs. I sold clothes. I remember selling clothes. I'd sell an outfit and I'd make $6 on it. So kind of hard to get excited about $6, but it was $6 more than I had. And I was trying to put myself through college and pay for all kind of ridiculous things I was doing at the time. And, I leaned into the sales thing and started learning it. I was just shooting some material today for Cardone University. We have probably, without me over promoting my own product, we probably have the most viewed sales training system in the world today. And I'm saying that not to brag, but to tell the viewer, this came out of a job I didn't want and didn't like. But when I leaned into it and said, hey, I need to commit to this thing because I have to learn how to do this. I have to learn how to bring revenue in. And whether I liked it or not, I needed to learn the money game. The money game starts with in accounting. And it might have been the thing I learned in accounting as I sit here and tell you this story, because in accounting, I remember studying financial statements in accounting classes. It was accounting, the principles of accounting. I thought I was going to learn how to make money. That's not what they're teaching there. But I remember there was on a page in the accounting book, the blue accounting book that I detested and hated. There was a page about an income statement. And then they would compare income statements of these companies. Well, the top thing of every page was income, revenue, or gross sales. And later, looking back, didn't know it then, but looking back later, I'm like, oh, that's the most important part of a company. If it wasn't the most important part of a company, they wouldn't put it at the top of the income statement.
Yeah, that's true.
On every income statement everywhere in the world, it doesn't matter whether you're in China or Chicago. The top 3 lines, they might be different words there. It is all describing gross sales, revenue by department, gross domestic product, how much revenue is coming through a country. That is what determines whether or not a household, a department, or a company is viable. And I had been fighting the top 3 lines of my personal financial statement, which everybody has one. And it's called sales. So once I leaned into it, boom, I started making money, man. It was literally that simple. I'm going to learn how to bring revenue into my household. I was 25 years old, had no money, lived in an apartment. My rent was $275 a month. I was late on it 4 times a year. Every 3 months I was late because I'd go up and down. And when I leaned into it, all of a sudden, hey, I made an extra $1,000 when I was 25 years old. I'm like, wow, that was the most important money I've ever made in my whole life, because it gave me an idea that I could control my income.
Rule number 4, be your own hero.
When you kind of look back now, what would you say are the traits that when you do look back, that you needed to kind of turn your life around?
You need to know. You need to be honest with yourself, right? Like I am brutally honest with, and maybe why the people in the UK like me. Like, I just tell the truth to myself, okay? And the fact that whether other people can handle it or not, it's up to them. Money's important. If you're broke, you're selfish. If you're broken, you're even more selfish. Anybody can make it. No matter what your troubles are, what side of town or city, the city you were born in, what class you were born into, if you want out, and you're not going to make excuses about how to get out, you can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Like today, I have $2 billion worth of real estate today, one deal at a time, putting one deal like that is an amazing feat for anyone, but for someone that came from where I'm at, no credit when I was 25. Nobody's taught me really how to do any of this stuff. But once you make a decision, you got to make the decision. You got to make a decision not to be comfortable. You got to make a decision and say, look, I want to have so much that I can take care of not just myself and my family, my 2 kids and my wife. I can take care of communities. And that's what I've always wanted. I always wanted to be a hero, dude. I'd watch Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. You know, I read those cartoon books and I'm like, I want to be the hero. And I think it's important that people understand they can be the hero.
Hey, man.
Everett, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
You got a book coming out, don't you?
You just came out.
Where can people get it?
Get it on Amazon. Easiest spot. Built to serve. Right there.
Let's go, man. If you guys don't know Evan, follow Evan Carmichael. He's got a new book out, Build to Serve. Go grab it today at Amazon. There's a good dude right here.
Rule number 5, get bigger problems.
When you're running a business, let's say you got a business that's doing $300,000 or $400,000 a year. I've done that. And then I'm like, okay, all my problems are around 300 grand and the 2 employees and the few customers I have. And so I'm like, okay, this year, my new plan is going to be, I'm going to go from 300 to 400,000. The problem with that thinking is when you're adding 100, you're stuck with all the same barriers. And you're thinking that if you went from 300 grand to 3 million, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, wait a minute. I got different questions I got to ask. Where am I going to get my manufacturing? Where am I going to store my supplies? Who's going to do all this work? All of a sudden, everything shifted. When you're going from 300, 400, you're like, oh, you got Sherry works for me and she's no good at this. So I'm going to have to replace her. My solutions are small. But when you start thinking, okay, I'm doing 30 million, because you'll just keep doing this until you get to 30 million. Now I want to go to 300 million. Imagine the difference. Oh, I need global offices. I got to go to Dubai and make some connections. Oh, I need a plane to go there. Like, you're seeing me just run out this 10X rule right now. Mm-hmm. Like, if people were just tracking what we've been doing, you're going to see us go from 3 million to 6 million, 6 to 10, 10 to 50. Like, we've been doing that. Mm-hmm. And look at all the things that have been added in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years that we weren't doing.
Rule number 6, don't limit yourself.
Unfortunately, because we have so much attention on our physical capacity and limitations, 5'8", you know, I've been a little guy my whole life. Got to feed myself 3 times a day because I'm hungry. I got to urinate, you know, sometimes with my buddy. I gotta sleep 9 hours a day, 8 to 9 hours a day. I'm reminded I'm a body, which has been a deception for me because that's not what I'm not limited to just that. And so it's been a big trick thinking, oh, I just got to take care of this. I got to clothe it. I got to protect it. I got to worry about it. The older you get, the more you worry about it. Kids can do almost anything. You know, kids can jump off they can jump out of a car, roll around on the damn grass and pop up and say, yeah, that was fun, let's do that again. You do that to me, man? I'm like, dang, that hurt, right? So you can see a kid flying down a mountain at 70 miles an hour, man, I'm terrified because I'm gonna break something. So it's that concern about me is something gonna happen to me? If I wouldn't have been concerned about myself, my God, I could have done anything, man. I would have already done it. So that's how that's been a big limitation, what Ed's talking about. The capacity of the individual is, I don't think I've even remotely scratched. Hopefully if I can come back, if anybody believes in that kind of stuff, then I can come back with, oh my God, man, maybe I'm not just 5'8", 170 pounds, you know, little tiny ones.
Got some good guns right now.
Okay. But maybe I can do more than just the physical limitations that I impose on myself.
Rule number 7, have big goals.
I know great salespeople have the potential to be really, really world changers. But their goals are so small, they settle, you know them. I spoke at your event. I was really just talking to the front row.
He was. He was talking to the most successful people.
I was like, hey, I just want to talk to the most successful people in the room.
Yep.
You guys quit. You settled out. You stopped.
Rule number 8, use the power of social media.
I've created a fund called Cardone Capital, and it's changing the way people can invest in real estate. So when I was growing up, and even in my early real estate career, I could not buy the best assets. The best properties are left for institutions and banks. And it's super, super wealthy. I'm not talking about
I'm talking about the kind of wealth you're familiar with about and read about here. And I'm not talking about people that have hundreds of millions, but billions and hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars of available money to them. And so most even real estate professionals get the leftovers, everything after that. And so I've been playing the real estate game for 30 years. And in the last 7 years, figured out, okay, I'm going to start buying what JP Morgan buys and Blackstone. And I'm going to use my audience on Instagram and Facebook. And I'm not going to go get my money from the institutions. I'm going to get the deal from the institution. And the money is going to come from my friends. And we're going to crowdsource this money without paying brokers. The brokers never like to hear me say this. But we've raised $300 million, bought $1 billion worth of real estate in the last 30 months. I paid not one penny to a broker.
Wow.
So that means all that investor dollars ends up in the investment, saving the investor money. And then we distribute cash distributions every single month, not every quarter. Like the banks distribute every quarter, or a REIT will distribute every quarter.
It's funny, people talk about the power of social media and they diss it a lot. But then last week, Kylie Jenner, $600 million, 51% stake in her business. You have raised $300 million through crowdfunding.
Because a lot of people are wasting time on social media. They're getting likes and comments. I know there's a guy flying into town tomorrow, and he's big on free and don't monetize, and he's looking at his likes and comments. And I don't look at likes and comments. I look at, hey, I have an offer. This is what you could do. It's a great deal for you. It's a great deal for me. It's a great deal for everybody that plays, and we want to monetize. So I think I'm going to raise $3 billion. I'm going to create a $10 billion fund, crowdfunding, and then the banks are going to come to me and say, we want to buy that thing.
Rule number 9, handle your 24 inches.
Handle your 24 inches. You can't handle your 24 inches. Don't try to handle your neighbor's problems. Don't criticize me, criticize yourself. Like, so many people want to give me advice. I'm like, dude, you handle your own life. I got my hands full handling mine. I'm not handling yours. Just handle your 24 inches until you got that handled. Then, could be anything. Could be money. Could be weight. It could be maybe you're cheating. Maybe you're taking shortcuts. You don't wake up sooner. Whatever your problems are, everybody's got them. I still got my 24 inches. I worry about my 24 inches every day.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is don't quit.
You had a kind of a tough start in life. There was kind of drugs, there was job losses, a lot of kind of things happened to you. What was that trigger that made you say enough was enough? I want to turn this around.
Yeah, well, there was, I just hated my life, man. I hated my life. I hated that I was a disappointment.